ready when you are. We are tWoTcast, episode 244. I can't yell too loud, I'm in a hotel. I don't want to disturb the other guests.
Alright, everyone shut the f*** up.
We are Wheel of Time. Reread podcast. Explicit and R freaking rated. Jono's the wild card, always talking shit. Joe's the straight man, he's a total dick. Tom calls in if he's not too busy. We are tWoTcast!
Hey, you're listening to tWoTcast, the Wheel of Time reread podcast, now covering Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, book one, The Eye of the World. That made me real fucking happy to say that.
It's the reread podcast.
You missed one re.
Whatever. You can figure it out. Actually, you already corrected it, so I'm not going to say it again. I really did just miss that. I wasn't really reading it so much as I was like kind of glancing at it as a general guide.
I mean, it's in fucking bold and everything.
Yeah, deeply
like,
ironic.
What else do I need to do?
Yeah.
What else do I need?
With me is Jono.
Jono.
Joe the Dick. You heard that in the song.
Oh, hey, Tom. And Tom sometimes calls in.
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't even call in. You called me.
It's the same thing. After all, it's the same thing.
It's not quite the same.
It's the same thing. So.
Look, here's the thing. If you wouldn't have called me, this wouldn't be happening. I'd be watching The Magicians and drinking.
So,
or possibly sleeping.
did either of you guys ever read those books?
Tom did.
Tom, did you read The Magicians?
Yeah, I fucking love those books.
I only read the first one, and I didn't love it, but I wanted to read the second, just never got around to it. Is the second better than the first?
It's probably similar. I like the third one the most, I think.
Because, like, my memory is, like, the first one was, like, this giant fucking, like, huge hard-on for literature critics. And I remember reading it being like, this is an average book. And so was so put off by it that I didn't want to read the second. But then they made a TV show, and then I wanted to kind of start reading again, but I just never did.
Yeah, I like the show a lot, too. And I like the books. And I just don't even know what to think, because you think Patrick Rothfuss's books are good, but you didn't like those books, so I just don't get it.
Okay, all right, I can deal with that. Yeah, interesting. Can I say something?
Tim, can I mention that I'm on the same page with Tom?
Can I mention something else?
Sure.
Tom's penis is already gray-headed.
Oh, you got gray pubes?
Just like, no, his penis.
Oh, the actual head of his penis.
Yeah, it's just like Tom.
Gray-headed.
Yeah. But it's got mustaches hanging down on each side of the urethra.
Okay, like Tom Maryland.
Yeah.
Oh, urethra.
Franklin.
Like Elaine Tricant.
No.
Right? No, she's got gray pubes.
Why wouldn't you have a mustache on your penis? It's the head of your dick. That's where the hair goes. The hair goes on the head.
I go to the salon every couple of weeks to get my pubes straightened.
Straight. Jeff Swanson?
So I can have Samsonite? So I can have super luxurious mustaches going down either side of my penis.
Welcome, new listeners. If you're joining us for the first time,
All I do is think about how long they would be if you just fucking jerked them side to side.
I consider ball hair like the beard.
Yeah, of course.
This is a pretty good snapshot of what you're going to get with every episode, except some fantasy elements will be sprinkled in throughout.
We call it a
you said
snapshot.
new listeners. Did you mean viewers or
Diddlers?
Well, there's listeners and viewers, Joe.
yeah, that's what I meant.
Did we ever put that Discord shit together? No.
Sure.
Next time.
Yeah, we're on it.
Why would I welcome the new viewers? I literally have a sign behind my head that says "Welcome, new viewers."
That's true.
No need to say it.
No need to spray it.
So do you want to talk about?
I always have a need to spray it.
So Twat turned 30, but more importantly, tWoTcast turns 10 this year.
We're old enough.
That's the real milestone.
Do we want to tell our viewers what we're thinking we're gonna do for the next year? Like maybe some exclusive episodes.
The next year,
Alan, Amy, and Harriet. Like that kind of thing. Maybe even go to the house in Charleston. You guys want to do a vacation in Charleston and just have a recording from the house? We should do that. Let's do that.
we're actually gonna record an episode of Ghost Adventures.
What do you think? A 10-year drunken retrospective? Like, what do you want to do?
No, like 10 years is long enough, but yeah.
I don't want to go through everything. So, we have a lot of special things coming up because we're going to be celebrating this goddamn 10-year anniversary all year.
I think we should definitely try to plan a trip to Charleston and record at the house.
I agree. You know what we're gonna do after the 10-year anniversary, though?
Yeah.
The 11-year anniversary.
Oh, and what's that going to entail?
Same shit as the 10-year.
Oh, okay.
We're just gonna do
Let's do it all again.
Last year, but this year, 12 years ago. That's not right. It's 11. Damn it. Just gonna get confused. Right. Yeah. Do we have any dick pics? What are we doing here?
There's going to be a lot of dick pics, but that's not for a 10-year anniversary. That's just, par for the course.
All right, let's pretend it's our 18-year anniversary, so it's legal as sin, right?
Podcast turns 18.
Yeah.
We're legal,
I missed that. To vote?
Like, you can have sex with Twadcast at that point.
You can send Twadcast some dick pics, some pussy pics.
Yeah, but the only other Wheel of Time podcast we could fuck would be the Fourth Age. all the others will be too young.
How old is the Fourth Age?
They'll all be like, the Fourth Age is older than us.
They're older than we.
Yeah.
So I think the only other podcasts out there, they're all going to be like 2 or 3. Like at that point.
All right, watch this. You can find me
all right,
on
maybe
Twitter.
there'll be 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know.
What is the next oldest one? The Fourth Age was the first one, then it was us. And
Yeah, but they're dead, so that doesn't count. When you die at age 4, it doesn't. You don't keep aging.
That's true. Oh shit, a dead baby.
When you die at age 4, you bury the carcass, and that's it.
We didn't die, and now we're back stronger than ever doing the books again.
We did die, didn't we?
We never died.
There was definitely a couple of years there where we lagged.
We just.
I think there was one specific year where we might have done like 14-ish episodes for the entire year.
Yeah, it was not a good thing, but we got through it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Hey, Tom, what chapters are we covering here?
We're doing chapters 4, 5, 6, and 7.
7.
Wait,
7.
4, 5, 6.
6.
So this is covering the Eye of the World, written by Robert Jordan, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
All right, chapters 4 through 7. Okay, I got you.
Did I not already say that?
No,
You
not
actually
really.
kind of.
Yeah, I got distracted trying to scroll the chapter. But honestly, if somebody has notes where they can say what happened in the chapter, it's not like I don't fucking know.
I got this real quickly. You want to hear some ironic information? We have done this 200-something episodes in a row, and we're the goddamn worst.
You mean the best? I think you mean the best.
I got a question for you guys before you jump into chapter 4. How many times do you think you've read The Eye of the World?
I'm in the double digits. Well,
I have to be around 15 at this point.
I think that's correct.
I think easily around that number.
Yeah, it's 15 to 20.
I think it's creeping up. Yeah, it's creeping up towards 20, I think.
Yeah, 15 to 20.
It really drops off the shelf for me for some of the later books.
It's,
for sure, yeah.
Because I would reread it every time a new book came out.
Yeah.
It is.
But like the last book I've only read once.
Oh, twice.
I've read a memory of like...
once.
You fucked up. It's a reread podcast. You only read the last book once. You fucking cocksucker.
You know what? You covered that anger in episodes 92 through 100 or 90 through 100, whatever we did.
I'm glad I could channel that. I feel like that's good.
I like where your anger's at. I feel it. I like it.
Yeah,
you're doing a good job, but you definitely did that when he didn't reread it the first time.
It's not my fault. It's still a fucking cocksucker.
He's like, I just read it. I'm not rereading it. And we're like, it's a reread podcast.
It's in the title. What are you gonna do?
15,
Spoilers?
15 I've done twice. 12 I've done 3 times.
Yeah,
I think you can.
14 I've done. I think 14 I've only done 3 times.
I've only done it twice.
Well, I did it once, and then twice for the podcast, and then recently, I'm actually. Well, to be fair, I'm halfway through A Memory of Light, so I'm halfway through my 3rd read of A Memory of Light.
Okay, that's not a reread. Here's your 3rd read currently. That's cheating.
My 3rd read.
Yeah. So literally, you can back out 1 for each one of those.
Yeah. So yeah,
up until
it's basically 1.
book 12.
Yeah.
And then you kind of add, like, I think I'm at, like...
There was definitely a moment where the books took so long to come out that I reread the entire thing, like, more than once before the book came out.
Correct. Yeah, I'm in double figures for at least 1 through 7.
Yeah. I probably read 1 through 10 even, double figures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We're so drunk and stupid, we've actually worked out this math before, and we have actual numbers for all of these answers.
You know what? Honestly, around the time...
And I think they're in written interviews that we've done.
I had less interest in rereading the books that Sanderson wrote.
You know what? I was actually looking forward to getting to the Sanderson books. I was telling Jono when I was in the Warrior, when we were reading Altai Warrior of the Altai.
Yeah.
I was really, really enjoying Towers of Midnight. And Gathering Storm's good too, but like Towers of Midnight, there is a shitload of really good, like, it's right before book 14 is like all fighting. I mean, it's even before the last battle chapter, it's just all fighting. They're just fighting the whole book. But book 13 is just
pick that up and read it. But
there's so many awesome moments in book 13 though. Like there's like tear-jerkingly crying moments in 13. I was like, wow, I didn't realize all these things came to a head in book 13. It's fucking really good. I really like Towers of Midnight.
All right, so chapter 4.
Oh yeah,
we're introduced to Tom. He does some shit. He definitely recognizes Moraine as an Aes Sedai. And then basically Tan tells Rand they're leaving town, and that's when Rand finds out that Tan and the council do believe him, that there's a shifty motherfucker riding around town. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's not. That's
I was only going to say that the chapter's called The Gleeman, which is interesting.
Well, I think that's actually a fantastic start. I mean, Tom.
Here are my notes, real quick. Tom talks about how hot Egwene and Nynaeve are and how important that is.
That is important,
and he's not wrong. It's very important. Looks are very important. I don't know if you know.
That's actually really true. If they were like super unattractive, it would be hard to read about them.
And then. And then there's a bunch of fake stories like Len in the belly of an
It's
eagle.
Not fake. It's very important.
It's very important. Oh, I'm sorry.
You know you were going to set me off.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Jono. What do you want to talk about in the Gleeman episode chapter? I mean...
You know the first part I want to talk about is...
Yeah.
I actually went and double-checked the term Gleeman.
Uh-huh.
It's an Old English term, which I'm actually delighted by the fact that he's brought that back, because apparently it is exactly what it sounds like, but no one has used it for hundreds of years, and I've never seen it in any book I've ever read, and I don't read as much as I used to.
I'm actually really happy that you did that as well.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
and
Gleeman...
It's definitely something I did not know.
Yeah, Gleeman is just an old-fashioned fucking term.
Yeah.
For like a troubadour. And I think that's kind of awesome. And also, I'm very disappointed in other authors for never having once used it. And I feel like they feel like it was already owned by Robert Jordan.
That's possible. I mean, he does own the term Gleeman in this series.
Yeah.
Pretty solidly. Like,
yeah.
There's a whole mythos behind them. Who they are, why they operate. Is it weird that we never really see another one other than Tom and Asmodean, who is basically faking being a Gleeman?
There are a couple, but yeah, it is weird.
Tom, where are you? It's super loud.
The same place I've been the whole time.
That's weird. It's so much louder.
Yeah. Are you outside taking a bath?
It's okay. Moving on.
Are you going to call us to get out?
I'll move further into the front of the hotel.
It's fine. Moving on.
Yeah. Moving on.
I can just hear the highway, like the cars.
Is that life?
Going by.
Yeah, it sounds like it's life. Yeah, same jokes.
You know what? It was actually better the second time around. Or possibly I'm 2 hours drunker.
Whatever. Yeah.
Let's call it that. Let's
call it just better joke.
Yeah, better. Oh, yeah, it was better the second time.
Yeah.
Wait, no, super lame joke. Just as bad the second time. Tom's drunker.
Can we talk about the fact that obviously Tom Maryland carries a skin flute, and you're like, oh, okay, usual joke here, but
hilarious, Jono.
He actually says to Egwene that, I want you to hand
because you're so attractive, you could hold my flute.
You know what? You can hand me my flute or certain other apparatus.
Here's a
Parent Snickers.
All right.
Parent Snickers afterwards.
If none of this would have happened,
Yeah.
who in town would Tom have ended up fucking by the end?
I mean, like, quite literally.
Every single inn he goes to, a young girl wants to bang it.
Listen, it's not in this case not a young girl. Bran's wife, Egwene's mom. And then he's run out of town because he fucked the mayor's wife. It's gonna be horrible.
Blood everywhere.
It's gonna be all over the town crier is gonna be like, Bran's wife got fucked by the gleeman.
She's making a cream pie. Making a cream pie.
He put the icing on the honey cakes. You heard it here first.
Jesus Christ.
It's a very fucked up chapter.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's what's gonna happen.
I do love, by the way, that he actually says, like, once a court barred, because, fuck it, these people aren't gonna know who the fuck I am. And the answer is, there actually is one chick who's nice enough who's gonna know exactly who you are, because you actually were nailing his cousin, or her cousin.
Yeah, he's still in Andor. I would keep that on the down low.
Oh, no one here from Andor.
They don't even know that Andor exists.
Seen the tax collector.
No one's seen the tax collector or the diddler collector.
I mean, when was the last time Morgays took care of their roads, Where's the infrastructure?
I don't know. Speaking of infrastructure for stories, though,
it's just lines on a map, guys. It's just lines on a map.
Go on, Jono.
Infrastructure for stories?
You want to talk about John Glenn? You want to talk about Merca?
America! Yeah! We also have Queen Elizabeth. Yeah, that's to me, one of the most important things about this story is
I kind of like that less. I'm glad that dropped out.
I love it. Like, I don't need the fucking present day reminders.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. Like, I don't need to see, like, now I'm channeling a CNN tower. Like what the fuck? I don't know. Also, by the way, drunk, not really a good joke here.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Shut the fuck up.
Listen, Mother Teresa's in this chapter, and it's weird.
Yeah, but I love the fact that the whole point is, like, there's just this kind of continuation.
He's just shoving the cyclical wheel of time into the narrative.
But you don't see it there. You don't hear that in this
I honestly
thing.
Didn't pick up on it at all.
And that's what I like
first
about
reading
it. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you don't have any relevance to this.
Yeah.
It's just storytelling. It's just story. And then he even talks about, like, I know all stories.
Yeah.
And he's just a great character.
It helps the world building.
It's great. I fucking love it. So go on.
We need to talk more about chapter 4 here, or are we moving on?
Oh, by the way,
the only thing I guess is, like, Rand is still, like, such a kid. He's already snapping at that parent.
Yeah, I guess on this most recent reread I did, he's way more of a dick to them.
Yeah, and
than I remember him being. And also, I mean, I think when we did the tWoTcast episodes originally, we always kind of, like, harped on Matt a lot. Like, wow, Matt was a real piece of shit until blah, blah, blah chapter. Like, kind of thing. Like, he was real fucking horrible. Yeah, and that's something that we've seen that just from the table read, like, we've seen that they're probably going to change in the show. They're going to try to make Matt more lovable, like, way more quickly. Yeah. But again, that's an assumption, but it's based on, like, him reading lines and, like, the way he's saying them. But, like, he's definitely more of, like, the Matt we know and love, and I think that's probably, from a show standpoint, it's probably based on the fact that they wanted to be more lovable. So when he's crazy and evil with a dagger, it makes more sense, or like it's more of a dichotomy.
Juxtaposition.
Yeah, but like Rain is also kind of, in this recent reread I did. Rain's he's way more of a dick. It's way more recognizable how, like, rude he is to parent, and he's very egocentric. Yeah, he's very, like, all about what's going on with him.
What do you mean?
Tam's patiently explaining to him, like, the decisions that the council made and why they're going home, because he's just like,
and he's like, but I want to eat honey cakes.
Yeah. But I want to know now.
Joe, you go first.
But I wanted to go to Tashi Station and pick up some power converters.
No, what do you?
I think I just summed it up. He's a whiny Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. That was perfect.
Yeah.
I've always felt like Rand was just very kind of... he doesn't really have an opinion yet. Like
he's very much the straight man in almost any situation. Everyone else, he's the Harry Potter reacting to Ron Weasley and Hermione. You know, like he's the one that's reacting. And I get,
and we all know the straight man's a dick.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm saying.
Ironically, yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of.
You'd think he'd be, the rectum.
I mean, he's rigid, like he's 12 o'clock all the time.
So, I had things to say, and now you
just picturing Harry Potter with a heart on.
Goddamn right I am. Oh, by the way, I love. Here we go.
Give me a couple things and then we'll move on to
Here we go. By the way, Sin Bowie, I believe, thinks that Nynaeve needs some dicking.
Niniave. Oh yeah, she definitely. He's like, oh, Niniave. If she just got like,
she got a husband, this wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's only such a hard ass because she hasn't been married yet.
Rail
she
her
get
out.
Married and settled down. And by settled down, I mean having a good fuck or two.
There is not one single person in that entire goddamn village that's good enough for her.
Yeah, there is.
I know there is not, and I completely agree.
Sin Bowie.
Oh yeah, he's super good for her.
Is Sin just secretly signaling that he wants to fuck her?
He's gonna fucking thatch her pubes together.
Yeah, that gnarled dark wood.
Thatch her pubes together.
That gnarled dark wood is just gonna break right through that thatch.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Anyway. Moving on, you perverts. I love that Matt Cawthon says battles interest me. I know that's like, well...
No, that's really cool.
That is...
I'm glad you brought that up. That's really cool. I'm pretty sure we didn't say that in our first podcast.
Did we?
No, we didn't.
Oh, we didn't?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
That's because I feel like that's really obvious.
I think I glossed over it because I just hard agree. I'm like, oh, battles interest me as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm fascinated by the idea of like they wanted to put together this kind of like shitty fucking watch that was just like 6 dickheads on a fucking horse riding back and forth
with like frying pans tied to their heads.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we see this later on in book 4 or so, where like they're so bad even when the Trollocs are there, when the Children of Light are there, and they're just still like just bad at this. The idea that none of that's happening and they're just like, well, there's maybe a guy.
Get out of our village, you zealots!
Yeah, what is it? Just like a fucking like,
just send Bowie with a stick.
I think like Tom said, like it's a fucking frying pan on the end of like a quick, like someone pulled a fucking like iron mace out of the fucking drawer that you've never seen. That just makes noise.
Like a meat tenderizer on a long stick.
Like the alternate version where Rand, Matt, and Perrin are somehow stuck on that patrol.
So here's an interesting note about this specific chapter from tWoTcast episode 1.
Oh God.
Jono tells an interesting story about how not only did he listen to the audiobooks, but it was on tape.
Oh yeah.
Which means it wasn't even Michael Kramer, is the point. It was the way dude before that.
Which you gave to me.
And
thank you, Joe.
I did give that to you.
Which means
that's where the palace still shook occasionally came from in your brain, drilled into your brain.
That was the only
key
words.
Here is that apparently that dude gave Tom a, quote, dirty Irish voice.
Wait, what?
That's correct. I remember that. I forget his name. Oh, fuck the author.
And then he rambled on about something about a homeless guy. I don't know. And then Tom said 2 seconds later, you're really dating the podcast. And in which case I said, doesn't listening to it on tapes already do that? Just a hilarious look back at tWoTcast episode 1.
Little did we know, apply this shit later on. Not so good.
All right, chapter 5, are we good?
Yeah, why not?
All right, chapter 5, Winter Night.
Winter Night.
All right, they get home.
Yeah.
Rand does his chores.
Yeah. So
Tam pulls the sword out from the chest upstairs.
Which is weirdly
Nope. Let Tom finish.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. My fault. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, then they get attacked. Narg shows up. They start off through the woods. That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. So all I was going to say is Tam taking out the sword, awesome. It's weirdly, like, indicative of, like, how high the danger level that he thinks it's at. Which is, Rand isn't really picking up on. But the fact that Tam is taking out that sword, you're just like, holy fuck. He clearly has an inkling, at least, of like what is going on or what maybe Rand saw in the woods, and he believes Rand at this point, and he's pulling the sword out that he's never shown Rand in his 17-ish years of life or whatever.
Yeah, it quickly changes Tam's character. You're like, whoa,
yeah,
wait
you're just like, holy shit.
So to me personally, this is one of the most, and again, one of the out of 4,000 visceral and visual chapters. I can see all of it
This
that
chapter's
happens.
amazing.
It goes from like just the most standard, like I'm hoeing vegetables that don't have anything because you know what? There's nothing growing. I am now cutting fucking wood. It's so fucking remedial, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere,
Rand's doing the chores. He's like, "Why are we back home? I want to be there. We're supposed to be celebrating with our friends and family. I'm always out on the farm. I want to be back in the town."
I don't know. Like so, my problem would be this.
It's awesome.
I love this show. I love this show. I love this
I
fucking
like the
series.
little notes of like seeing what their day-to-day life is, and like Tam reads a book at night, and like
We've got these amount of books. Yeah. I don't know if like this is so visceral and so visual to me because I'm kind of done a podcast about it for a decade or so, or if this is really one of these
doing
fucking
a podcast for 10 years.
I know, fucking stupid. Or if this is really just such an amazing book. Like I feel like context is gone for me. I can't be independent and neutral.
Yeah.
But to me, like when I reread it this morning, like I read it. I have been reading every fucking word, as opposed to like when I do a reread, I'm like, let me try to find action, let me try to find quotes, let me try to find relevant pieces. Like I just read the whole goddamn thing, and I just couldn't. I'm stunned. I'm fascinated. I love it. Again, obviously I'm an Uber fan. It's fucking stupid. Fuck you. And I
on that
say
note,
this
though,
soberly.
it's super fucking fun to be doing this again. Tom, on the Worry or the Altai episodes,
fun.
We talked about this a lot, but like it was so fun to be reading a book and saying out loud, like, "Oh, we're covering Robert Jordan's book," like, and it's a book we hadn't read before, and it was just like it was this weird like
Diddle hole 3.
After all this time, it was so fucking fun to just be saying Robert Jordan wrote this book again. But now this is the same thing, but kind of on a different level because we're revisiting like what we've started all these years ago, and but we have the 14th book now, and we're like.
And the 13th.
Everything's informing everything
and
differently.
The 12th.
No,
I'm just fucking around.
Anyway, but the point being is like I agree with
fucking
you.
cool.
It's very fun to be reading this again. Like I'm excited.
And I can smell that.
In a stupid way.
Yeah, I can smell that.
Yeah, I'm at 12 o'clock.
I'm super excited about it. It's my second favorite thing we ever did.
What was first? The cape.
The cape.
I was gonna say, if it wasn't the cape, you're fucking out. Just hanging up this phone right now. No, but so I where I was trying to go with this is I love this kind of like, just real quick, even just this talk about what the fuck the farm is, right? Again, it's very obvious, like, he's doing A, he's doing B, he's doing C. The farm is very 100% just. We got the farm here in the north, we got this on the west, this on the east, and it's a fucking triangle, we got this shit here. It's smart, it's brilliant, it's just... The thing is that Robert Jordan brings is, like, it just makes sense. It's not an asinine... Like, it's just...
Yeah.
I am not really great at words. It's just logical. And you just kind of go with it.
I like the way that him doing the chores, as superfluous as it seems at the moment... You're just like, oh, whatever, you're just doing chores. But later on,
you have to put effort into building up the coziness of the village, the home, and the town to tear it all down.
They all seem
That's
so
exactly
warm.
my point. So
yes.
when the trollocs attack and he's running around in the dark, you kind of have an idea of what the farm looks like. You kind of have an idea of like where the sheep are and like where the barn is. Or
it's
where
a triangle.
like,
the barn's to the west.
So like it seems kind of like, wow, that's a lot of detail. He's just doing
but
chores.
It's relevant.
And he's tired now, and he's coming back inside, and randomly Tam took out a sword. Oh, what the fuck? Tam has a sword. And like, and all this stuff's happening. But when they attack, you're just like, and he's like, oh, fuck, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, run out the window. And he runs out the window, and he's hiding under the fence, and he's running around, and you're just like, I'm really glad you took all that time to tell me about their farm.
It was all randomly relevant.
Yeah.
Can I
Also,
ask you
weirdly,
one
at this
question?
moment, as opposed to like before they got on the road, like they started with them on the road, as opposed to going like, here's their house, and they're at the house, and he's doing chores, and now they're on the road. Like he started with them on the road, and then it's like when he chose to say these things matters.
To your point, I love the fact that, and it may have been earlier in the chapter, but there's this, or it may have been in the last chapter, but there's this point where he's just kind of like, when did Matt tell you? Like, oh shit, you believe other people? And like, it's just kind of like, yeah, I do. By the way, I asked you once we're 2 miles down.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really matter.
I also don't want to worry.
You don't want to worry about it.
Yeah.
Let's take care of our house.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's a really cool point.
Yeah.
I do love that fight in that farmhouse.
Yeah, it's cool as shit.
It's fucking awesome.
Hey, before we get there, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So 2 things happen. 1, he pulls out the key, and 2, he pulls out the fucking chest from under his own, like from Tam's bed.
Yeah.
The key is described as being a hand long.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Is that right? Like what type of fucking key and
An
door?
old timey lock with
Yeah.
a big thick ass wood oak door or whatever.
Medieval?
But the key.
But it's not medieval though.
But the door
Maybe
has
the Two Rivers kind of is though.
The door would have to be at least 6 inches like thick.
Yeah. Big ass oak door. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
They don't have insulation. It's just the thickness of the wood.
I don't think it ever.
Not that weird.
It's never 6 inches thick. I've heard that before. But
First of
like
all,
for
only
a,
like 2 inches goes in. You just get the tip in,
So
and then you swivel it around a little bit, and then when you swivel it around, you can find the sweet spot, and then the lock clicks open. But the rest of the inches, are on the outside, and your hand's holding that part.
Jesus fucking Christ. A lot more than I needed to know.
I fucking nailed that.
like 6 inches too long. I agree with you. My wife agrees with you. It's not even with me.
6 inches is way too long. You only need 2.
Agreed.
Yeah, you just swivel the 2 inches around until you find the sweet spot, and then you're good.
You know what you do?
Lock
you fucking
clicks.
get your tongue out
and then
there.
there's a spurt.
You can actually infer a lot about the length of everyone's penises from me and Joe. They're like, it's like a hand long. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And John was like, that's insane. I've never heard of such a thing.
That being said, my mouth will open that fucking gate.
Oh, god damn it. Are you telling me you stick your tongue in your door to get inside every night?
You're goddamn
Okay.
right.
All right.
Let me test my wife.
What else do you have for this chapter?
Oh, that's pretty much it.
All right, chapter 6.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been a good way to just go out with it.
Wait, so what happened? I mean, Narg comes in, right?
No, chapter 5 actually does have more. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is the fight, but so what do we want to talk about there?
Wait,
I guess just that Narg is still the only
That was
Trolloc
the
to
end of
talk.
chapter 4. So chapter 5 is what we were actually starting with.
No. What?
Yeah, all the chores are at the start of chapter 5,
Yeah, what are you talking about?
and now we have the fight.
Yeah. I'm talking about the Trollocs fighting. Chapter 5.
Yeah, let's talk about the fight.
Oh yeah, you are right.
We are
Hold on.
right. Yeah.
I know.
We know.
So, by the way,
Yeah.
our man here kills someone, a trolloc.
Yeah. First off, very
It's-
accidentally.
The boat. I actually read that. It doesn't make sense unless you describe, because it sounds like he's trying to hold the sword with
I think Robert
both
Jordan
hands.
does a very good job in the early books of making the Trollocs threatening and slowly amping up the level of danger, like throughout.
Do you think he regretted making that one talk?
For sure, which is why he never did that again.
Yeah.
Also, maybe not. I mean, maybe it's just one of those things where, like, I mean, obviously the Trollocs continue talking throughout the rest of the series. You just don't care, or they never say anything out loud to a character.
I never see them talk again.
No,
That's
they talk.
correct.
They guttural talk to each other all the time in later books. But the point being,
but what is the name of their language?
Trolloc.
Trolloc speak, I think.
Yeah, that's correct.
Or is it Trolloc talk? It's a really good time for him to call in.
That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but when he does, that's where I'll insert this conversation. All right, so I guess we're here with Trolloc Talk. And since this chapter involves trollocs, we're going to have Trolloc talk about trollocs. And tell us what chapter 5 is all about.
Yeah, man. I'll do it this way. I was listening to your last episode, and you guys were talking about your experiences getting started with the Wheel of Time, and this chapter actually connects with. Well, it's a story I know about a human. I'm a trolloc, of course, but there was this kid back in the 90s. He's a human, not me. No, I'm a trolloc.
Yeah.
But
we all know you're a trolloc, you know?
Okay, make sure.
We get it. Trolloc Talk is obviously a trolloc handle.
But, so this teenage kid back in the 90s was given a copy of The Eye of the World by his brother for Christmas. And he'd always been into Dragonlance. Read all the Dragonlance books, was totally into them. And he got this new book. His brother's like, yeah, this new series. This is the cooler thing.
Right.
All right. 6 months later, finally started reading it on like a road trip. And
aside from the road trip part, this is my literally exact story.
So it's like, read the prologue, which is completely crazy and like, holy shit, what's this like? Is this whole thing going to be like this? And it's actually because of how epic the prologue was that those first 4 chapters were just like boring as fuck.
I don't know if I thought it was boring. I think I thought it was like disconnected in such a bizarre way that I was like, what is happening? We were just in like a crazy palace and magic, and now it's just 2 guys on a road.
Well, yeah, and so this guy was completely bored about the caddy.
Now, do you eventually eat this kid? Is that how you know his story?
Yeah.
Nah, I knew it.
It's true. It's like the cattiness of this like small town. I'm like, I could just go to a small town and listen to some hicks bitch about something. I don't really need to read a book about it. But so then it really culminated with Rand chopping wood when we get into to chapter 5 in Winter Night. And the story's been told many, many times as like Rand chopped wood for 3 pages. I did look today, and apparently he chops wood for a half a page, but that's still a lot of chopping wood.
Yeah, that is a lot of chopping wood.
And it got freaking old, and the book got put down. And the only reason the book got picked up again was because it was a long road trip and boredom ensued.
I see.
And the next thing this teenage guy knew, he was reading a book that was pretty much a chase scene from there all the way to the end, starting with trollocs.
That's exactly right. You're a brethren. I have to say, you're really well spoken for a trolloc.
We have schools.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Elementary? They teach you,
it's
like...
the British model. We've got primary.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense, actually.
Everybody was so surprised that there was a city.
I mean, I thought it was a big deal that Rand made schools, but apparently Trollocs been going to school for a while.
Well, I mean, how else are you going to learn to read cookbooks and make good food?
That's a good point.
I mean, we have a lot of hands-on application learning with cooking as well, but there's theory.
Yeah, do you consider yourself like a culinary master in terms of like
I appreciate
chopping up human bodies?
No, I think culinary is exactly the way we should describe it.
Yeah.
It's like culinary, but it definitely involves killing.
There you go. All right.
So I think you wanted me to summarize Winter Night.
Yeah, I guess chapter 5. You just want to. Is it chapter 5? Yeah, it's chapter 5.
5 is called Winter Night.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you tell us about chapter 5 entails, and then go on a rant about your brother Narg.
Well,
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I assume you may or may not like him.
If you know anything about me, you know that I've made a cottage industry out of hating on Narg for a long time. So the way I picture it, if you do it from our perspective, it's like there's this kid, he gets home with his dad, he's doing chores, he's chopping wood, boring as hell. But then there's like the trollocs who are watching from a distance, and in my head, it's like the goblins at the beginning of Labyrinth when they're all waiting for her to like say the thing to get stolen.
That's kind of I like that. I like that perspective.
We're quite similarly as cute, of course.
Yeah.
All packed together.
I mean, you're pretty adorable, I think, as trollocs go.
I just don't understand why the plushies haven't ended up on Etsy yet. I just don't understand.
That'll happen the second the show's up.
Dear God, I hope so.
It'll be bigger than Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Trolloc plushies will invade everything.
No, it won't. So, yeah, and then the thing is, like, the whole plan was to go get this guy and the kid so they could go off and talk to Murder Mike.
Right, gotcha. Oh, his
they
name's
wanted
Mike.
to talk to these dudes. Yeah, he's not like my guy's Murdrell Dan, but I wasn't there. But Murdrell Mike, he was leading these dudes. So he sends Narg in with Marty, Mitch, and Ron. Mm-hmm. And Marty, Mitch, Ron, and Narg were just gonna like see if they could get these dudes to come talk to Murdrell Mike. Why Murdrell Mike couldn't go down to the house, I don't even know. Oh, she heard he was a lazy bitch. Who knows?
Yeah, I've heard that he's lazy. Mike.
The problem is, they go in there and the kid freaks out. He throws a pot of scalding water, lands all over Mitch's face. He starts screaming. Everything goes to shit. I don't know. Kind of crazy. The fact of the matter is the rest of the guys were just going around back because there was a sheep buffet back there and they were kind of hungry.
I see.
So pretty much, after there, the people ran. Trollocs are off in different directions, trying to figure out where the best place would be to cook up a bunch of sheep. Apparently, the kid's dad kills Marty, Mitch, and Ron, and apparently Narg. Yeah, it's a travesty. I mean, really, better communication next time. I think, honestly, we shouldn't knock the doors in. I keep telling them that.
I always wondered how they got out of there, and now that I know that most of the Trollocs were off in the woods finding a place to cook up some sheep, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, I mean, apparently the kid and his dad thought that they were being chased, but really that's not what the case was. So, then Narg does his whole thing, and I just don't get... Here's my thought on Narg, honestly. And, of course, we're talking about book Narg, not internet Narg, Daily Trolloc.
Oh, yeah.
Man. It's led to a lot of confusion in my world. but, like, seriously, the only reason everybody loves Narg so much, he gets brought up all the time, is because he's the only one of us who was ever given a name in books. So I think it's a bunch of bullshit, but really, he's the only one. The way I see it is Robert Jordan had written a chapter later on about, like, Trolloc Garp, who's, like, always trying to do his best and just leading his buddies around in the ways until they all get, like, vaporized or whatever from that underground fart thing.
Right, yeah. There would be
a plushie of Garp on Etsy in a heartbeat. Everyone would love him.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know why he decided to only name the one. He was a dipshit, but... seriously, he's like, I'm super smart.
Based on how eloquent you are, I assume Narg is just a grade school dropout.
He pretty much, and he thought he was smart, but, I don't know how smart anybody could be when they impale themselves on a sword. Just saying. And that's what happened next.
Oh, all right.
I was rereading it today.
Yeah.
Specifically says Rand tightened his grip on the sword. If Narg had been looking, maybe he wouldn't have gone running at him.
Is that about wrapping up this chapter, or are you ranting about Narg anymore?
So that's what I think of Narg. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, let's
deserve a ton.
Some final thoughts on Narg.
You're asking me for some final thoughts on Narg?
Yeah.
So, he claimed he was very smart, and I think he's very obviously not smart, so I kind of wonder why the fandom thinks he's so smart. I'm probably going to get vilified for that. But,
that's true. He did say Narg smart.
The question until I get an answer. He did say Narg smart, and he doesn't actually use proper grammar, so I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're going to write cookbooks or read them or know how to, the proper way to chop up a body.
That dude can barely scramble an egg.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I feel like he would just eat them whole. I mean, just...
Yeah, he was one of those lazy ones. It's just gnaw on this shit. No.
Yeah.
That's how he got his name, Narg. Just Narg.
Oh, I get it. He got his name because he's extra dumb.
Yeah. That came off the top of my head. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. It seemed funny at the time, but after I said it, it didn't seem so funny. I'm not sure. I just don't know.
I'm sort of with you on that.
So, yeah, I mean, moving past narg to kind of dive into the sort of rest of the summary. Basically, after that, Rand's got to go help his dad. And as he was talking to Tam said something about trollocs that I found kind of interesting. He gives him a little bit of, like, exposition about trollocs, and go him. But he makes this comment that has never sat well with me.
And that is?
And I kind of wonder if it's, like, in line with what you guys were saying about, like, I totally agree that if there's any inconsistencies in this story at all, where it felt like Robert Jordan was maybe still feeling his way around some of the context that was going to happen later, this would be it. And Tam says, trollocs can't be trusted unless they're afraid of you. And then not far. And I feel like maybe that was just a setup, because that's when he goes back to the house, and then Rand, like, talks to narg, and it's like the sole example of when one in the entire series would ever have a conversation with a trolloc in which we had to question whether he's going to trust him.
Yeah.
I just don't understand this whole trust thing. Like, under what circumstances do any humans go around trying to trust a trolloc about anything?
Yeah, I guess not at all, I would say.
He's like, are you sure, Trolloc, are you sure if I go out to the outhouse all naked, is anyone going to see me? There's no one out there, is there? And Trolloc's like, there's nobody out there.
Yeah.
And you're like, seriously, there's nobody out there? He's like, no, there's nobody out there. He's
I wonder if Tam was
the whole village is there,
was Tam speaking from, like, Midro Mike's perspective, I wonder?
I
guess so.
know.
That would be the only thing that would make sense. Like, you only trust him so far. I mean, by you, he meant the royal you, but was he talking about humans or Midril?
I can't see how Tam would be having a Myrdrill's perspective.
That's very bizarre, right? Yeah, it's strange.
It's just like it would almost work better if it was some, like, colloquial turn of phrase, but it doesn't seem like that's what it was. He was like, used a specific, like, you can't trust trollocs. Like, when would I be trying?
When would I attempt? At what point would I attempt to trust a trolloc?
They're giant fucking abominations trying to eat the entire human race.
Yeah, and then coming from a trolloc, that's saying something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, you face down a bunch of trollocs, and then suddenly, what? They're gonna, we're done, we're leaving. No. I mean, if they did, I guess you wouldn't trust them.
That's probably true, yeah.
But, yeah, I just found that interesting. On my reread, I remember thinking that was an odd thing when I first read it the very first time and every time since. Like, what? Under what circumstances would you try and trust a trolloc? To finish summarizing, then, Rand grabs some junk from his shed because his cart's all busted up. Sorry about that. That was us. And then he goes back to Tam, who's starting to drop off into some sort of delirium. Also us.
Let me ask you something. Did your friend Trollocs, your Trolloc friends, did they bust up the cart on purpose?
No, they probably just swung the sheep around too hard and smashed into it.
It's accidental.
How much do you think Trolloc really cares about a cart?
Yeah, probably not at all.
You would think, like, I mean, Trollocs have enough intelligence. It's kind of surprising that, like, no Myrdril ever tried to have Trollocs, carry some stuff around in a cart.
That does.
It'd probably be easier. We've got a lot of, like, rusty armor.
Yeah, and they're pretty strong. You guys are pretty buff, So, like, I feel like you could even pull a cart without a horse or anything if you needed to.
No, they were just like a bunch of ropes over the shoulders. And honestly, most importantly, because this one never made sense, the cook pots.
Yeah, where are you carrying those? If you can fit a human body inside of one of those cook pots, like, is there just let me ask you something about say on a squad level of Trollocs, who's carrying the cook pot? Someone that's trusted because they're, like, a really badass chef? Or do you think it's, like, the lowest rung on the totem pole, like, oh, you suck, carry this fucking pot because we don't want to.
I'm thinking it's the latter of those two, because, the good cook is probably also a good fighter because he's probably good with, utensils.
Yeah,
and
just
therefore
chopping
fighting
things
implements.
up, yeah.
But also,
you want his hands free.
I pointed out on Twitter not too long ago, a lot of times the cook pots, they're not our cook pots. We kill you and then we put you in your cook pots.
Yeah, that's true. Are human cook pots a good size for a Trolloc, though?
Well, we got to, like, get the whole entire village's worth of cook pots together, make one big fire, and then just kind of stack them all.
Oh, gotcha.
Close.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that's the other funny thing is the notion that a Trolloc cook pot is like a witch's cauldron.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that what everybody imagines, right?
I have thought. I mean, that is what everyone imagines.
It's like 4 feet tall. Like,
I think that's exactly what everyone imagines.
Like 3 Trollocs, like, over it, like, chanting,
yeah.
Dabo.
I can't wait to see that in the show based on that thought alone, because that is what is always in my brain.
I mean, it has to be what is in everybody's brain, I'm sure.
Which is the most ridiculous thing in the world, if you think about it.
Of course. Like, everything about the notion of a trolloc cook pot makes no goddamn sense. Like, just none. But, you know, we roll with it. We do our best. I definitely wonder. I wonder a lot of things about how the show is going to treat trollocs. I tweeted at Rafe at one point and asked him when he was doing, like, a Q&A.
Yeah.
Like, how are you guys going to do that, the whole trolloc thing? You know, special effects, blah, blah, blah. And, like, this is obviously not like a Hollywood movie, so budgets and everything.
Right.
And his answer, I'm not going to say it was disappointing. It was just, it makes me nervous because he's basically like, yeah, that's a problem. So we're going to do everything we can to deal with that. And I'm just like, does that mean you're going to show trollocs as little as possible? Or, like, are you saying, like, I never really understood the answer. Like, I think it's going to go with more practical effects.
We know the budget's pretty high. I mean, it's not like, you know, it's not enormous or anything, but I think I know the numbers around like 10 million an episode, which is a pretty, that's a huge number. I mean, like, Game of Thrones back when it started was like 5 or 3 or 4 or 5, somewhere in there. And granted, that was 9 years ago, or whatever. But
yeah, I think their last episodes were like somewhere around 10.
Yeah, but if their last episodes are somewhere around 10, that means you're starting Wheel of Time based on the numbers of the last season of Game of Thrones. That's pretty good. That's
what surprised me about Rafe's response.
Yeah. Maybe he just didn't want to answer. You know, there's probably a lot of that going around.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, certainly, I find it it's completely crazy that people think that they're going to get much information about what's up. I mean, I'm just presuming that I'm not going to know much. And, you know, I asked because he was telling people to ask. But I'm definitely curious. I mean, obviously curious about how a lot of the show is going to come out, but super curious about how they're going to depict a lot of things.
Your brethren specifically, though.
My home slices, and like Myrdral, like moving quickly. I mean, at some point, some Myrdral's going to be like in some action scene, right? And like the cloak's got to not move.
Yeah, that's going to be
pretty cool to see, right?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Well, trolloc Talk, it's been nice talking to you.
You as well, sir. It's good to finally get on the show and hopefully come back later. I know that now that you guys are starting over, there are more trolloc sightings to be had. So
yeah, plenty to come.
Call me up and have me back.
We absolutely will. I already mentioned to you, like, maybe we could check in with Fane's trollocs all throughout the Green Hunt. See what you have to say about that.
I'll talk to you about those guys, but those guys are fucking weird. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Yeah, don't tell me now. I want to know.
You hook up with that guy. I mean, what sort are you? Just saying.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, I guess we'll get back into the regular show where Jono and Tom are actually on it with me. And I guess since we're probably just jamming this into the episode, an explanation is we wanted trolloc Talk to call in that night, but, you know, things didn't align.
I fucked up.
No, it wasn't your fault. Here's the point.
I'll get better at the Twitters in the future.
This interjection into the podcast made no sense whatsoever. But maybe now it does.
It's a culinary interjunction.
It's a culinary interjunction.
It's good talking to you, Joe.
All right.
Can I ask? This one makes me. Oh,
what the fuck is going on?
We're moving on. Jono's just taking a minute.
It took a moment because I fucking put the phone down.
It's fine. Give him a second. It's fine. Go ahead.
So this is Rand. Help me understand what happens here.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so in my hardback copy, it's the bottom of page 63. And he says, he forced his lips into a shaky smile. All right, grip tightening on the sword, he let both hands drop to his sides. I'll talk. And that's when Narg lunges at him. How do you let...
Sure.
If you've got a sword in your hand, how do you let both hands drop to your sides?
You're holding it with one hand. It's not a broadsword.
Is it sides or side?
It says sides, plural.
Okay, that's what I'm asking to clarify.
Tom, if you've got...
So he starts to relax and he puts his hands down.
But he doesn't say, like, I relax one hand from my sword. It's like he's got, like, a rubber...
A rubber what?
He's got, like, a rubber dildo. It's covering his dick.
Oh, he's got a Gleeman apparatus.
Yeah. Like, what's happening?
That a Glean is going to hand Tom.
I spent way more time reading that part again. Like, I was just like, all right,
Wait,
I'll
what?
talk. Trolloc lunges for
I think none
him.
of this is important and we should move the fuck on.
Oh, I don't disagree.
All right.
But how does that happen?
Who cares?
They fight with those swords one-handed all the time.
But why does he have both hands? Like, he says
It doesn't
both
matter,
hands.
Jono.
He was holding it with two, and then he released his grip and held the
His
sword to the
grief?
side with one
He
hand.
releases Greep.
Yeah. Oh, you're giving me shit?
No. Well, yes. But also, of course.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we do.
So beyond Narg, I guess he must have gotten lucky. Must have gone straight through Narg's heart. Because just stabbing a Trolloc with a sword is not going to put it down.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I feel like
I
what
would
actually
agree with that.
happens is he kind of, like, falls over and then, like, lurches to the side a bit, ends up cutting his heart.
Is this also the
Yeah,
only
'cause it
Trolloc
seems
with a
like
name
he's-
in the whole series?
What's that, Tom?
It's also the only Trolloc that ever gets named, right?
That's 100% true.
Yeah, which...
It's fucking ridiculous to think about this scene. Once you've read all the books, you're like, this is so silly.
Well, is it silly or is it just like the scale of fighting? Like, you know, like you start with like one single Trolloc is talking to you out loud and names himself. And then you move on from that almost immediately to like multiple Trollocs and then multiple Trollocs and a midroll and then multiple Trollocs and two midroll, and like it's just like after this scene you don't need to
have a one.
Yeah, like he's never
like,
fighting a Trolloc one-on-one ever again. You know, like what?
Is it critical for him to kill a Trolloc in this chapter for some reason, for like some sort of character development?
I feel like yes.
I'd agree with that.
So like to me, I don't mind the Narg piece so much as the
slow evolution of him being able to actually fight, culminating, I would say, in book 2 when he actually fights a Blade Master. And then, you know, after that, who cares?
I think it's important.
But, like, culminating in that moment, you definitely need to show that he did something here and then move on to the next thing and move on to the next thing. And slowly you're like... Because even when he fights Turok, the dinosaur hunter, in Great Hunt, like, you're still going like, holy fuck, he killed a Blade Master.
It was unintentional.
Let's get real. He can never kill Turok, the dinosaur hunter. He's got fucking lasers.
Yeah, he actually has been grabbing every piece of the giant weapon for the last 7 levels. No, but to both your point, to me, I don't mind the idea that somehow, like, this guy can speak, like, a little bit. The fact that he never, that there's no English or no common tongue later.
That we see.
Is the bigger issue. Like, it's not, like, I don't have a problem with Narg as a person, or Narg as an individual. I have a problem with that there's no further Nargs. I have a problem with that, because we know that, like,
I feel like there is further Nargs, but at that point you're seeing it from a general's perspective, and like hundreds of Trollocs are being killed by the sloths.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whatever.
But what about...
There was probably 20 Nargs in that situation, and who
In
gives
book
a fuck,
2.
because we don't see it.
we don't see it.
We're not on that macro level.
We don't... Like, that's what bothers me, is we don't see it. Book 2 has some really cool shit.
What actually happened here, I think, is that Rand killed a unicorn. I think he killed the smartest Trolloc that ever lived.
This motherfucker.
I mean, Trolloc Talk probably has a lot to say about that.
Let's call him up.
Are we chapter 6?
Oh, chapter 6.
Westwood.
Oh,
What's the
Westwood.
title of this?
The Westwood.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
The West
Pretty much
Wing.
this whole chapter, so they walk through the woods. Rand kind of finds out he's adopted, and a fade rides by. die. That's the whole chapter.
I wrote Tam's fever dream. Rand is more than we expected.
Yeah.
Oh, you really want to get real serious about it?
I just meant it as a joke from Christmas Vacation.
I do like the little snippets of Tam having that fever and talking. Like you get a little history of
cool.
the war. I like that a lot.
I am losing my mind because to me,
the flashbacks to Dragon Mountain finding him in the snow is fucking amazing.
To me, this is like one of the most important and iconic chapters. And I don't know how they're going to treat it because to me, it's way too easily like, oh, no, fever dream. It's too easily done here. It's not.
What do you mean?
Like, this is the data.
So Roose Bolton is being drugged behind Rand al'Thor. Go on.
Yeah. Like, this is a data dump of all data dumps. It just says, by the way, my son Rand is not my son. Here's the important thing about that fucking war. I
think in the show, this is going to be really fast. They're not really going to... I feel like he's just going to be like, oh, my son, I found you in the woods. And, like, it's going to be real quick. Like,
I thought you were going to do the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Should I go more into it?
Yes.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
We talk about
I thought I
Landon's...
sounded like way too much like I was coming, so I decided to stop.
Oh, yeah. We talk about Landon's pride.
I found a baby in the snow.
You sound like a MacGruber.
What? What?
MacGruber. like we talk about Lamon's pride. We see the fucking trollocs run by and the Mirdraw run by.
I don't think this is an info dump. I think this is like seeding like interest in like what else is happening.
It's still an info dump.
Yeah, sure, but in a very interesting way.
I don't know if I agree with that at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's an info dump in the sense that you learn.
I don't think that means what you think it means.
Go on.
That's the whole thing.
That's fucking inconceivable.
I will say the Mirdraw, by the way, in this chapter, creepy as fuck. Like the fact that Rand kind of feels
so fucking scary.
Like
him creeping through the woods right now.
The Trollocs
the Trollocs fucking
formation running down the road. That's scary.
Yeah, and then the Midrol
but they have
stays behind, is there first, and then stays
they have their own cadence.
the Mirror, it's fucking creepy.
The Trolloc has its own cadence. Like when they come by,
the tension that he ramps up in this chapter is palpable. Yeah, it's fantastic.
General palpable.
Yeah, general palpable. And as we know,
thank you.
Lews Therin threw him down like a really deep crevasse before he turned back to the good.
Got up again.
Yeah.
He was never going to keep him down.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was pissing the night away.
That's the worst of all your song references.
Really bad. Really bad.
That song is so fucking bad.
What else you got for Westwood, guys? We gotta have something.
I mean, that's most of it, unless you just want to talk more about the Io War.
Did they get to Emmons Field in this chapter, or is that the next chapter?
That's the next chapter. Okay. But I do think Tom actually hit something. So, like, we find, like, there's a very interesting, hold on, it's chapter 6. Okay. Give me a second.
It's okay.
Try that again.
What are we trying to get?
I'm just double checking my notes here.
Jono's trying to drunkenly read his shitty handwriting. Give him a second.
Yeah.
So is it Tigraine's brother and Rand's cousin are the same person?
Yes.
This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I guess he does find her dying on the mountainside.
That's actually 100% correct.
Yeah.
And that's actually where I was going to say.
Kind of horrifying.
Yeah, no, it's...
So Rand and Lan are like weirdly, distantly related in some strange way.
Yeah, no, they are. Yeah.
Yep, that's correct. Cousins of cousins. Fucking of fuckins.
He's also related to Slayer.
I mean, they could still fuck each other.
Well, obviously.
It wouldn't be weird.
Yeah, I missed that rule. Oh, it doesn't exist? Yes.
You know, there's a really funny line in A Memory of Light when Gwyn is finally, like, not angry at Rand. And there's something along the lines of, like, Gwyn is like, wait, what? You have a brother? And he's like, oh, yeah, I don't know him. And he's like, they're basically talking about Galad. Or Galad, whatever the fuck you want to call him. Anyway.
Definitely not Galad.
Galad, whatever. I'm just,
Galad.
The fucking audiobooks put things in my brain. Anyway.
Galad.
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 Oh.
They're talking about Galad, right?
The worst member of all the Legion of Superheroes.
He's the fighter of the night lad, right? He's the champion of the sun.
I mean, I'm going to take...
man.
Galad.
Listen, Cosmic Boy's sitting around. He's like, I'm going to take Chameleon, I'm going to take Shadowlass, and I guess Galad.
I was waiting to do a It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia joke until we got to Green Man at the end.
Just so you know, Tom, I'm up here just clapping my hands alone.
Anyway, Rand, fully knowledgeable about where he comes from at this point in time, says something along the lines to Elaine of like, oh no, to Egwene, because Gawain is there with Egwene, and he's like, hey Egwene, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, I've got a half brother. He's basically like, I've got a half brother somewhere, and Gawain is like, wait a second. Who's your mother? And he's like, it's Tigraine. And he's like, what about Elaine? And he's like, well, I don't want to tell you your own family tree here, but we're not related. And like, the way he says it, it's like, it's basically, I summarize it, but that's basically what he says, and it's so funny how short he is with it.
Also, I feel like they're super related.
They're not really, though.
Their fight is the night late.
He is definitely fucking his cousin.
Hey, later book.
So?
He's fucking his step cousin, Tom. Like,
they're
not blood related.
Fighter of the night.
I've actually done quite extensive research trying to figure out which of your cousins you're allowed to fuck, and that's actually fine.
Yeah, step cousin is totally fine.
By the way,
Which is what the point is. Like, I really love how quickly Rand is like, know your own family tree, bro. And then it kind of moves on, and I'm just like, oh, wow.
You talking about book 5?
I'm talking about a fucking memory of light.
But in book 5, though, like the first time he hears about it, like he's just staring up at, like you said, like he's staring up at the fucking like things. He's just like, but what if Tigraine did do A, B, C, and therefore you fucked?
Wait, have I been making out with my cousin in the Stone of Tyr?
And their response was, well, they're not really cousins.
No, I haven't been Luke Skywalkering Princess Leiaing it.
I was going to say, if I was Rand, I would just be like, you know what, a little too close for comfort. We do have a Luke and Leia situation kind of happening here, and I don't want to be part of this. But instead, he's just like, wait.
Hey, know your own family tree, bro. And then and that's it. It's very funny.
Is diddling okay?
So we'll revisit that 7 years from now.
Yeah, I guess we're getting way far afield. Let's talk about chapter 7. What's it called?
Out of the Woods, Rand and Tam, Emmons Field.
I just needed the title. I don't have the book in front of me. All right, we get to Emmons Field. The town is burned down, so it's not Salvation. I don't know what he was expecting since the Trolloc army was running down the road to the same place he was going.
Yeah, maybe he thinks they're not there yet, I guess. I don't know.
Nynaeve, we find out Nynaeve can't do anything for Tam.
Niniana, I think.
Yeah, Bran and Tom get around to suggesting that he goes to Moraine. And that's what we also find out that Moraine and Lan have been exposed, basically.
I think my most visceral memory from this chapter is basically Rand, like very frantically, like in his own mind, frantically at least, if not outwardly. Outwardly, I think he looks weirdly calm, but in his own mind, he's just like running around like, I need to fucking heal my father, and he's like freaking out. And he's like, I can feel the tension and anxiety ramping up. Like every time he talks to somebody and they can't help, he's freaking out even more. He runs to the next person. He's like, can you help my father? You know, like that's all I really take from this chapter.
The chapter ends with him going to Moraine and asking for help, and then them on the way to the inn. And
gotcha. Okay.
So,
that being said,
what do we got?
So, to me, the things that stick out, like you said, like there's really not too much that's not just kind of obvious.
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated by the fact that, so when Rand does find Nynaeve, she looks at Tam and just kind of like, no. Like, that dude's fucked up beyond repair from a
She knows how to triage.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, great nurse. And Egwene does too, and so they're out. Like, when he goes back to the fucking, he's just like, well, the mayor will fucking find me out. I love this and hate this because it's kind of just funny. He gets to the mayor, and the mayor's just kind of like, well, I've got some ideas. Have you tried Nynaeve? And since Tom Maryland like goes out and comes right back, it's just like, that's a big old no.
Yeah,
we got the shit kicked out of us.
Of like, I need your help. And they're like, well, what about Nynaeve? And he's like, Nynaeve already said she can't help. You know, like, he's getting a lot of that.
I love that too when Tom comes back. He's like, could have given me a heads up.
Yeah. Would have liked to have not just gotten my ass kicked. But Tom Maryland, like, one of the things that really delights me here is that Tom Maryland actually is just kind of like, what can you tell me about the dragon fang that's sketched on the door? Which, by the way, is one of the things that there's really nothing to it, but I'm fascinated by the idea of the dragon fang having meant so much. Like, we've seen earlier instances where Matt Cawthon made someone sketch the dragon fang and therefore had shit luck. Actually, he said the Dark One's name. And in this case...
Hey, here's a hilarious note from tWoTcast episode 1.
Oh, God.
Tom said out loud that he's actually scared of saying the word Shayatan.
Tom, you bitch.
What's wrong with you?
You said it.
I don't know why you would just say that.
I thought that was adorable / stupid.
Like Tom.
I feel like you just made a big mistake, buddy.
Big mistake.
Big sure you like.
Yeah, I don't know what you were thinking.
We want him back. Dead or alive?
Alive.
We want him alive.
But, like, so I'm fascinated by that kind of... like, amount. Yeah.
No, yeah, I get you.
But anyway, where was I going?
So what I think is interesting is, or like kind of the only other takeaway I really have from this chapter, other than like Rand kind of like mounting anxiety, and every single person keeps telling him to go to Nynaeve, and he's like, Nynaeve already said she can't help, and he's like freaking out. The main point here is like, Moraine and Lan helped out a shitload.
Oh,
and
God.
Like, they're not getting credit where credit's due. Like, half the town is like, throw them out, they're the reason this happened. And like, they're like, we fucking saved your asses, you know, like, kind of thing. Like, there's a little bit of that going on. Like, you find out she's running around healing people / fucking throwing fireballs and killing trollocs and stuff, and Lan's fucking obviously going to town. And just like that, and other than that, maybe the fact that there was targeted houses, which I think was kind of a note to take away.
Do you ever wish that Moraine had to say fireball every time she threw a fireball?
I absolutely wish that, yeah.
Do I?
You know how later on in the series, it's kind of said that, like, oh, when you learn to weave a certain way, you have to, like, so say, like, Moraine learns to shoot a fireball the first time, but she holds her hand in a certain way when she does it. Every single time she does it after that, she has to do it the same way. So yeah, I think that's what she does. She goes, fireball! And then shoots the fireball. I mean, I think that's canon.
Fireball!
I think that's canon, right?
What happens if she only has, like, 2 fingers? Like, it just looks weird?
No, I think it looks good. I think it looks good. So what about show notes here? What do you want to see?
I want to see almost all of this.
Do you want to see this, or do you want to see the aftermath, like what they're showing in the book? Like, do you want to see something happen?
The aftermath is in the book, and it's also much cheaper to film, so I can't imagine them wanting to change that necessarily.
Right.
And it works with the story.
But even the part where, like, say, like, Matt's like, oh my god, you should have seen Moraine. She was running around shooting fireballs. Like, do you want to, like, even a second of her, like, actually running around shooting fireballs? Or do you want to just...
No, I want to save the impact of that happening in, like, in front of our faces.
Right,
for,
like when Shadow Logoth happens or whatever.
Yeah, for a time that it really matters.
Right, I disagree. I think this should be a visceral chapter. I think
it would be visceral without the visual, though.
I think that this should be a good time to kind of, like, show what, like, maybe just one instance of it and land
Visceral is the word of the night.
Well, it's Jono's word of the night for sure. Yeah.
You know why that is? I'm on my period.
Knew it.
But like, I feel like it's a very... I want to see what they can do kind of chapter.
Yeah.
So I would like to see both.
They're still building to it. Like, you're just
maybe a one-off of each.
Oh shit!
Tom, to your point, maybe it's a one-off of each. Like maybe a one-time using magic and a one-time kind of land killing 5 people at once kind of thing.
I don't know.
I'd be willing to bet that you're not going to get your wish, and it's probably going to be much closer to the book.
Wait a second, and I know we know this, but like they've released the first 1 or 2 episode titles, and what was episode 1 Winter Night?
No, it's like 4 or 5.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It might have been 2. My point being is like this might all be episode 1 still, I guess is what I'm saying. So they're probably not going to show extra shit. If anything, they're going to cut stuff. You know, in terms of the show.
Yeah. All right. So, well, what else does everybody have for Chapter 7 before we move on to TV talk? All right. Then I guess my only question is, all right, so we're 7 chapters in a prologue in.
Yeah.
How much screen time do you think this would have eaten up? 20, 25 minutes?
I feel like this is a full
chapter
episode.
1 is
no,
like
I feel like we're more than that.
5 minutes.
We're a full episode.
Maybe a whole episode?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do. I think we're a full episode right here.
No, I think a full episode is them leaving the 2 rivers.
No.
I think they're going to get on horses, and Tom's going to be in the barn, and they're going to like... I think we're going a few more chapters in for a full episode.
Yeah, that's probably right.
I think we're going to leave the 2 rivers in episode 1.
I think this is a full episode.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll see, I guess.
That's tWoTcast for this week.
If you have any comments, if you have any questions, the best way to find us is on Twitter, and that address is @tWoTcast.
Continue.
At tWoTcast.
Good. This is
tWoTcast.
For all our reviewers out there, this is the 244th time we've done this. Listen wherever you get your podcast. You can email us, twotcast@gmail.com.
That is a great email address. We're on Patreon now. Now, baby, now. That's at patreon.com/tWoTcast. If you enjoy the show, which you do sexually, help us out now and give us $1. And of course, thank you, baby, to all of our current patrons.
Patreon. I'm glad you let everyone know they enjoy the show sexually. Which you do.
Patreon acknowledgements, guys.
Now.
Thanks to our patron, Peter in Australia, for randomly giving us more money
than he should have ever.
It's very strange. Stop giving us more money, Peter. We love you.
It's also incredible. The entire continent is burning down, and he's giving us money instead of the fire department.
Also, burning down the house. Our house.
He's also the only one of our patrons to give us a topic for the show, and also other patrons give us topics for the show.
We're probably more worthy of that money anyway, if you think about it.
We'll gladly accept more top spics for the show.
We don't call them that anymore.
Anyway, and also thanks to Audrey for joining our Patreon I say yesterday, but it was probably a couple of days ago.
Thank you, Audrey Plaza.
Thank you, Audrey, not Plaza.
Damn it.
It's also Aubrey Plaza.
I know.
tWoTcast theme song brought to you by Taffy Bennington at Sing with Taffy on Twitter, Anarchy101 on YouTube. Check out her other videos. There's a really good one called The Wheel of Time.
Yeah, join us next week for more Plain Sounds and also The Wheel of Time Book 1, The Eye of the World, Part 3. We're going to do chapters 8 through 11. It's going to be fantastic.
It is.
You're listening to Jono.
Gonna be fantastic.
Joe.
Keep the change, you filthy
fucking
animals.
Yeah, I'm Tom. Still your man.
All right, everyone shut the fuck up.